Lily Brown, Ashley David, and Jeff Fallis. And Lily Brown grew up in Massachusetts, and she's a PhD student at UGA. Her first book, Ruster Go Missing, just came out from Cleveland State University Poetry Center, and she has a new chapbook, Being One, that was recently published by Rosenbaum Press. Ashley David's poems and essays have appeared in the Alimentum Center, Greensboro Review, Hanging Loose, Michigan Quarterly Review, Mid-American Review, the Southern Review, Toad, and Women's Studies Quarterly. She's also written op-ed features on education, environment, and social justice. And she has scholarship on Tony Cade Bambara, forthcoming in anthologies from Judy Press, SUNY Press, and Cambridge Scholars Press. And she's the editor-in-chief of Mandala Journal and the blog editor for Michigan Quarterly Review. And Jeff Fallis is currently a PhD student in creative writing also at UGA and has poems that have appeared in publications like the Oxford American, Plowshares, the Iowa Review, and in the anthologies Blues Poems and the Art of Bluesing. Okay, thanks.
To a tree. Eucalyptus is the object. It means project. Bathe in its leaves, sob its oddity to the sidewalk, defend its non-nativity. Take on the tree and fist fight desire. Shadows lie, I see them. Features, limbs, ink with shifty edges. Break it atypically the day to pieces, each differently visible. Shade open so the street is lined. Evening tree is salty with dusk. Early sun distributes risk. Its lineage casts shadows, shadows that pull a tree down, broken, legible heap. Smaller gulls before. I want the tree a mile up to shake its blonde leaves to the pavement. From my plot, I think it odd that birds don't shit on us more often. We're right here, ruining the sand. I too further the obesity of gulls. For years, I've let them steal my sandwiches and sealing wax. That with which we stamp ourselves, we stamp with ourselves. Sink of emblem in that wax. Lies that swap stories with heart. What was cannot be taken. The blue jay near the trail is tense and blows apart. Brown spot above his tail, below his wings, mumbles. He won't work for blue jay. The bluebird is blessed with ignorance. Night words are lost by day. And then I'm going to read the title poem in the collection, part of which deals with the environment, part of which deals with human beings. But the beginning has some references to, I don't know, the fact that when I was a kid I used to keep a lot of collections of things, and then as I got older I just kind of started thinking, what's the point of all this? Just like these, you know, things that were basically just collecting dust on my shelves. So anyway, that's in here. Rust or go missing. I think the plastics and sink them. Rock, snow globe, buffalo nickel collection, this or that amalgamation of shiny, unrecyclable shit. The sun on the dirty river's mug was better. At the high window, someone's face was stronger. The letters, non-silicone, non-permanent. An invisible anchor on sea floor under a boat I've never seen, reflect like a watch face on the ceiling. In January, the hills unbutton their pants, ward back the swept up winter. Eastern plows attempt to file. Here, west of it, Hill with cleft chin climbs, big with water-busting leaves above the freeway. Tree posing as flower, make the machine mistaken. A woman talks quietly, it's her nature. A man talks loudly, it's his nature. Have they chosen each other, or is it fiction, what they see? Through his eyes, through hers, light may bounce specifically from their features. I can't see light sneaking anywhere. He says, while you enjoy your coffee, I'll go to the bathroom. He says, here's the light. I place it in your glass. Here's how light stays when I'm gone. Okay. This one hopefully will be clear. It has some environmental links. I grew up partially by the ocean on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and there's a lot of fears there, particularly right now about global warming and the water level rising and houses getting swallowed up. So that's in here, old with you. I wait for my wrist lines. If I push them, boxes make themselves. I shorten your name to a letter to make you new. Time spreads. These materials populate my life. Cursors in mud. I turn on the weather. The weather ashes the books. The house can live underwater. The house can wear its rooms out. So what if the house? The primitive is a process more real, more hated. Real book, the thoughts in you are secondhand. Leaf at the end. I climbed a giant leaf at the end of my imagination. Across the spotted water, the hill fastened its yellow bushels. The imagination asked for all the cities, for the canopy to get its machines out and tile the leaves. My friend Lily assumes what I want, and it's so unfair. The imagination shoves in and pushes lightly out, a belt of pelicans, a plank of hard clouds, bunches of doorknobs halo the street-lighted hills. I find a pile of antlers in the woods, assembled for burning. I crawl beneath them and stay there when the burners come with their fire. Up in the canopy I dangle, touching nothing. Okay, I'm going to read just one more from the book. This one also has some references to, I guess, rising water levels. Or sort of on one of the beaches near where I grew up, there was this rock that split in half that I sort of saw as I don't know, an emblem of what was happening with the environment. It's called water rocking. A big red boat with blue trim floats. Some water slams against a rock. Far away, another rock splits. The top half shoves the sand. Children lose. Bears slip from ice. The kid with the horse on his car drinks beer and crushes a can. He takes 3 parking spots to parallel the ocean. I'm just going to read a couple of new poems. This one is called We're in the Ocean or I'm Alone. Repetition smudges in. The lake sets beneath a bird-turned sky. I balance water, rock, flat-top dirt, the bone I've become. Back home, wind throws a tree on the van out front. Air goes glassy and sharp. I point to a building, hit brick. Consistent animal, it's elemental, how we feel. Do you know you're a photograph mapped to a flash? Sometimes I become embarrassed in the middle of readings because I realize that everything I picked had like the same word in it. And now I feel like every single one of these poems practically had the word bird in it, but that's the theme, right? The environment, animals, birds. So another bird poem, taxonomic. I saw the bird throat like a toad billow out, thought to take a picture and send it. I swallowed the door jamb shine. The threshold breaks off as I use it. The water has a breeze, says the dog-eared lady who owns both. The ripples sit down flat upon the pond. Thanks.
An image that we often see that's associated with Earth Day. That's a picture of human hands holding the planet, the shot from the moon, I think it is. And it indicates that the sort of Earth is in our hands, human hands. And increasingly, I'm thinking that we've got it all wrong, that the agency is misplaced, and that we are just one of the many species on this planet that the Earth sort of creates an environment in which we can exist. And when species become particularly invasive, then the Earth sort of decides what to do about it. And I think we're seeing what the Earth is starting to decide to do about this particularly invasive species, humans. So when we talk about saving the planet, I think we might actually need to be talking about saving ourselves, because the planet, I think, will ultimately take care of itself. We just may not be here to enjoy it. So these very new pieces are from a book-length collection of poems called American Post. And the manuscript is an experiment in form, and the experiment is something I'm calling plain poems, P-L-A-N-E. And if 2 points make a line and 3 create a plane, and a plane can be manipulated through Euclidean and non-Euclidean notions of space, then plain poems can interrogate and explore space, time, and experience in dimensions beyond 4. They can also be read like a painting from any angle, in pieces or as a whole. And although what I'm going to be doing today are all poems, this is part of a project that I'm starting to develop visually as well. So, because you'll find that it's very heavy, and it's too heavy for my tastes. And in order to kind of deal with that, I'm trying to make objects that will also convey what I'm going to show you tonight attempts to do. So, this first one I'm going to read is called The Constructive Phase. Before it begins, we take everything that moves, leave remains for the dogs. Once it begins, we take over chants and prayers, lovely scripts. We rip the head off the horrible beast and fail to lose faith. Anchored in plains beyond tangible dimension, an unbranded animal ranges beyond shame. Nonetheless fettered by reflection. No shield in sight, a heavy wet. I've called the collection American Post because I'm locating the focus at the intersection of dominant and non-dominant discourses about what it is to be American and to be America, and that's broadly defined across the Americas, north, south, and in the middle. So this next piece is called Multiple Dimensions. In the city of death, in the American heart, Russian scientists meditate in tombs to slow the Earth's rotation. Their target? The Van Allen radiation belts. I have flown this jungle, traversed the Americas before scientists came, before 1,000 sighs went north to work, before traffic, before wing remnants twitch and tingle. The scientists order Michelada's, cold drafts spiked with chili and lime. Time travel is not that safe. In this atmosphere, difficult to locate, my heart bleeds while they feed at my breasts, slice my tongue twice with a sword. The horses are hungry, the serpent and moon waning. Volcanic sun sucks a line to bread and iron. Water virgin and a cow with one arm feel a heart that does not fell. I have faith to be blind, a selfish fish. Hubris leaps over yellow akin to the monkey hams. Sprouts soars with tree wire, barbed blue eyes, not fleur-de-lis, but doves. Hip point to hip point, we choose memories in pink tutus, chickens who lay brown eggs. The strange face of sexuality carves elegant pieces of speech. Letter of intent. Into the royal of melting jade undercut by the berg, I reach in to pull you out. We watch rectangles and squares, colors we cannot see. Under this, the pewter soup, skin to skin, point to point. Metals are generated in the burning hearts of stars. Drifts to our knees, hatch amber. So one of the things that happens in this collection, or that I'm attempting to have happen in this collection, is that the first person I is I like the letter I, and it's also I like an I-E-Y-E, and it shifts between people and across time, from sentient to non-sentient beings, and from piece to whole. And when I say whole, I don't mean like some holes, like this is a whole stand. I mean the whole. So as big as you can think about whole, let's roll it all into that, and that's what I mean. And so I'm really attempting to shift from this perspective that I can't even really comprehend to these little perspectives that I might be able to, and that someone else might be able to. So this one's called Revolution, a word like banana. All bananas come in threes longwise. A well-placed tongue or finger in the business will split the fruit for sharing. Such things do not matter to hawks, who count on different insights, whose visions range long. The minutiae of the monocote discovery, a mixed blessing. Mama, I want some. Yeah, me too. And breakfast is done for provisional humans. Elephant, cat, dolphin, horse, and dog are ridiculous torture in stages. We know humiliation and intimate desires, mediocrity, a knife. Cards played, shells thrown, and still the thief's lover makes short work between shower and bench. A bank, I will tell you what I see in the pond's barnyard of looks. So, also in this collection, it relies sometimes on magic and spells, or at least their possibility. And I think I default to these sorts of moments of incantation when I really have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And I'm just like, please be something happen. If I put these things together, maybe magic occurs. And so sometimes it happens overtly, as in this case. 2 ways to be a cat. Old soap and apple juice, hay the sole species in the genus. A snake comes crawling into an herb charm, minus 8 elixir. The mouth of the wounded sits in the middle, remains discreet, the other on the margins. The answer to answer questions before they are asked requires seeing past. Riding time naturalizes the colicky edge. When past and future fly into 9 parts, the axis shifts indistinguishable. I plant a buckeye in each bit of swaddling and hum. Leaves rot beneath the nursery, a good sign. In America, where everyone goes naked, a flurry of whiteness and the outside comes in. The alchemy of 2 yields 1. Herein lies the binary and its issues. Bullshit. You had me at double barrel and river. My calculations begin to rival burnt toast, and someone calls for the sugar. All the while, the babies sleep tight. The slow and painful metamorphosis of the one into the other reflects centuries. It's afternoon. Obsession sits down to resonance. Step out of the boat into the barrel of a gun. Knit 1. Sheep ruminate in the yard, rebound off the opposite bank. Some will twist to the right, other twist to the left. A man next door yells for his goddamn beer. The babies will be grown soon, Pearl 2. I will sleep cedar and fir. The face of autorreconocimiento, which means the face of self-recognition. I did some of the research for this. I started the research for this collection in Cuba and Havana last May. And one of the most amazing places to generate material, I started there because Cuba is a wonderful point-counterpoint for, prior to the revolution, the sort of grandest excesses of Americanism, US American vision and experience. And then post-revolution, and now it's this counterpoint because we sort of exist because it's there for us to bounce off of, and they sort of exist because we're there to bounce off of. And so I spent some time in the National Museum, and they have one whole building dedicated to Cuban art. And it was one of the most sort of transcendent days I've ever had. I just walked through this museum, and there was almost no one there, and I just scribbled for hours. So much so that the guards started following me around. They're like, "You want to go out?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to go out. I'm back out of my head." But it was just incredible art in this particular museum, and all over Havana I saw wonderful expressions, artistic expression. But this one day, this particular piece came out of that, as well as its name being partially in Spanish. Do not suggest a quilt, but pieces on a plane. Diabolical heart, paradoxes. The fallen collect on the floor, torment cut out. A ray insists reflection. A rock, a cord, a galleon. Finally art arrived at torture. Listen, America, in triplicate. Blinding blues, harms that will eat Cuban ham. Count the days of 1964. Do not stare at me, sitting woman worn, a cockroach with a brain, tangled chicken. Sometimes the pieces of rebar, per se, berate the sounds of birds. I would love to lie down and sleep pink and yellow ceiba and baobab, bed down in a park to commemorate the foundling. It must be March. Meanwhile, back at the sugar bush, a stand of maples turgid for tapping, a wood-fired evaporator pan standing at the ready. Farewell, pigeon, travel light. Burning it down, tearing up, wait, no! Pour it in a Dixie cup and smell the sweet. Talk about sex and fail to arrive at distinction. Bonsai sheep and massive swarms of jellyfish bloom. Life gets simpler. A slimy bank, a noisy ocean. So finally, before I read the last poem, which is the poem after the one I just read, you may be asking what all this has to do with the earth. And I know I gave you my little bit at the beginning of the metaphor and how I think we've got this sort of agency all wrong. But fundamentally, this collection is Gaia-centric. It's written as if planet Earth were the primary actor attempting to understand the most invasive species it has yet to encounter, humans. So it's written as an attempt to cultivate compassion for a species that the Earth, and often I, don't seem to really understand, and that the Earth would just as soon annihilate for failing to live in harmony with the whole system. I know that's a little cynical, but I actually think that there's a lot of hope embedded in that sort of cynicism. If indeed the Earth is just sort of doing its thing, and we've just really gotten out of line, then we can sort of potentially get back in line with the harmony. And so I actually find hope in this instead of cynicism, but anyway, you might not. This last poem is called Courtesy of Choice. A centuries-old philosophy acknowledges differences and allows for harmony. These motherfucking gang members mess with my hometown. I fall in love before breakfast, offer a spirit of conviviality. To accommodate preferences, the bright orange bathing suit in the bathroom promises a stunning day. It used to be safe for someone on top to go cheap. To travel is not to worry. Nowadays, it might as well be Mexico. A tortilla is not a biscuit, not cornbread, not apple pie, not as American as Christopher Columbus. I ponder the sex life of snakes, reptiles in every crevice. The problem with white folks is the sun. Good thing brilliant yellow eggs sputter diesel, and history accumulates, a tidbit here and there. And imagination is not about red shoes, but broken glass and pines in the wind. Cypress rooted to the blue hole. An assembly of percolating molecules sweetens the hand that curls around the things we hold. Thank you.